and welcome to Once Upon an Upside. We're back to talk about the 4 movies from April. I'm your host, Jess, and I have Kari back with me again.
Hi, everybody. It's good to be back.
Yes. And let's just dive right into
Let's do
these.
it. There's 4 movies. We've got to just start talking about them.
We got a lot to cover. So, the first one that aired was called When We Last Spoke. And I have my handy dandy little UpTV summaries again.
Yeah.
So, in 1967, 2 sisters are abandoned and raised by grandparents in the town of Fireside. Humor, heartbreak, and triumph are served with whipped cream and lots of local nuts in this heartwarming tale of family, friendship, and forgiveness.
Mm.
So, this movie was different in 2 regards. One, it was not a romance, it was a drama.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, it was set in 1967.
Right. Most of the movie was 1967.
Yes.
So, I mean, they flashed forward to 1996, 1997, maybe.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah. They flashed forward a few times and then ended more present day. And I looked it up. I was like, was this made in 1997? But it was 2019. I mean, it was supposed to be, yeah, kind of just a historic movie, I guess.
Yeah, so it was definitely different. And so what are some of your initial thoughts about this movie, Kari?
Yeah, so my initial thoughts were, okay, if Up TV ever had like an Up TV Hallmark, Hall of Fame, this would be a contender for Up TV Hall of Fame because of the nature of the serious topics that they tried to cover. The retro scenes and styles were really kind of cool to watch, and the music was definitely fun. So it was more. Oh, it was totally serious. I was not expecting that. And so the whole movie, I kind of felt like I was like, oh, wait, like I was expecting the guy to come, like a guy to come and have a romance start and stuff. But so halfway through the movie, I kind of settled into realize, oh, okay.
It's not what
Okay,
this is. Yeah.
this is not it. But they did have, the bigger names. They had, so that's why I mean, like Up TV Hall of Fame movie, they had the bigger names of Melissa Gilbert, Cloris Leachman,
Yep.
Corbin Burnson.
Burnson.
Yeah, Benson from Psych. That's where I know him from, but I know he's had a long career in other things. And so, yeah, I mean, it was different. And I almost wish I maybe need to watch it again to kind of like settle in and appreciate the drama of it instead of going, wait a minute, where's the romance?
Yeah, I wasn't really expecting a romance just because, reading the summary before I went in. I didn't expect it. I think I kind of knew what I was getting into.
You did. Yeah, just by the summary. That's fantastic. I mean, just lined up with all the other Up TV movies we've seen. I expected one, I guess. So,
yeah. I mean, and we maybe had like the tiniest of a romance there. Like
it's tiniest.
Like a little dust of salt of a romance. But yeah, definitely wasn't there. But yeah, so the movie starts when we have this family. Dad leaves for war in Vietnam. And then there's 2 sisters, Evangeline and Juliet, and their mom just she can't do it. She's got to go pursue her singing dreams in New York. And so she dumps them at their grandparents, and it's his mom and dad, not hers. So she dumps them at her husband's parents.
Yes. Yeah. And there were a few times that the grandpa, Walt was his name, he said something like, these are my son's daughters. So like he didn't even say they were my grandchildren.
Yeah,
so
I noticed that and thought that was odd.
Me too. So I was wondering if they actually were Marguerite's children and the son fell in love with Marguerite, who had these, I don't know. They called him dad. But anyway, the family tree was a little confusing to me.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. And I wonder how much contact they had with the grandparents. They seemed somewhat familiar with them.
Yeah, they did. Maybe they were in the same town. Were they raised in Fireside, like with their parents?
I know, maybe. But as soon as they see the mom's car like pulling up, they're like, oh no.
I know. They did not like her.
They
Now
knew
that
something was up.
that was sad though. And that was really
Yeah,
sad, actually. That the
that was
mom,
really sad.
yeah,
Like I could understand if she needed some time for herself, like, having husband at war and raising
right.
two girls, like if she needed a little space,
Yeah.
but she never, spoiler alert, never came back
She came back.
and never had any contact with them.
Like one package, one gift, one package. She sent necklaces
Oh,
and
she didn't send those. Those were from the grandpa and the and what was Selma. They
no
organized
way.
that. Yeah,
They
I didn't.
oh, I missed that. I thought, well, at least they have these necklaces from their mom. But the grandpa was the one who went behind the scenes and did that.
Yeah, because when the grandma was in the hospital, Selma was at the house and she's like, "Do you want to arrange another package?"
So he sends secret packages to his family.
Yeah,
Like,
so he's the one who was doing that to give the girls hope, and that was part of why Evangeline was so upset, was because Juliet never told her some of these things.
right.
Because
Okay.
Juliet overheard all that.
Okay. So I was totally just giving the mom some credit here where there was none.
Yeah, the mom gives no credit.
She gets no credit. She leaves, she goes and pursues her career. It's just so like children though, to keep hope alive. I think like children just do that. Anytime they talked about the mom, the oldest Juliet was like, I hope we can hope, and there's something so beautiful in children about that, where they look for the best
Yeah.
in their parents who may not deserve it.
Yeah.
Ooh. Anyway.
Anyway. Yeah.
So like this little family forms, right, with
Mhm.
grandma and grandpa, and that starts to become a really precious little unit of the four of them. At first you kind of don't know if they're gonna make it, but they start to find a rhythm.
Yes, they definitely do. And there's a lot of shenanigans along the way. And I think one thing I appreciated about this movie is I thought that Evangeline and Juliet were like, they really sold me on the fact that they were sisters. I really like how they were written
Yeah,
and how the child actors like played them. I thought they did a really good job.
they did. That's a great point. I think they knocked it out of the park there. They had deep emotion, but they were lighthearted sometimes and childlike, and they fought, like sisters would, and
Yeah.
yet they supported each other. And you're right. Good point.
Yeah. So one of their shenanigans is that they have this suspicion about Selma.
Oh, Selma.
Who's an
Selma's
interesting character.
I know she's kind of the town flirt a little bit. She's not a young woman, but she's still like um, this beautiful blonde, buxom blonde, I guess. And the girls like are wide eyed when
Yeah, they're like enamored with her. I'm like, oh my God.
they think she's so pretty, I guess, or they're just so stunned by this woman Selma, and she really is a good woman. She really is. But I think just because the way that maybe she's a little flirtatious with the guys in town, the way she dresses a little bit, and then so people start to have a little suspicions about her.
They start to make some assumptions
Yeah.
where they shouldn't, and the girls get this idea that she is going behind people's back and kissing their grandpa.
Kissing grandpa. Oh no.
Because they see a man in a hat from the distance.
So that was a crazy scene to me when they're at the sleepover with Dixie, who all of a sudden is into the movie, and it's like this little friend of theirs. So Dixie she is a horrible little child who just makes assumptions about people and probably repeats what she hears her parents say. But she has a view of Selma's house, and they spy on Selma, and they see this man in a hat. And they think it's their grandpa. And so then they go take revenge on Selma's house with toilet paper.
Yes, they have a whole toilet paper fiasco.
Yes.
which grandma immediately makes them clean up the next day. Good job, grandma.
Good job. Good job, grandma. And I loved that. It was so relatable when the kids were like, why isn't Dixie helping us? And Mima's
Right.
like, she's like, I'm not raising Dixie, but I'm raising you. And you will be cleaning this up.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That was a little bit of the crazy in their lives. And then we have the great grandma entering the picture, and she's a little bit senile at this point. She's, it's nearing the end of her time, and grandma and grandpa are not happy that she's staying with them.
She's not. So grandma, what was their last name? It was Cranborn.
Yes.
Cranborn. So Grandma Cranborn was at the younger brother's house, Walt's younger brother's house, but he had it, I guess, with his mom, and so he drops her off at Walt and Ruby's house, Mima. So she comes and joins the picture, and she's just adorable and delightful, but also hard. She's hard. She wants to be in the kitchen. She wants to be in your space. She's criticizing. She's talking about George, her husband who passed away, and
she's flushing her underwear down the toilet.
she's flushing underwear down the toilet. She's dancing. She wants to talk about the past, and it's just a lot for young people to take in. But the little girls, I think, handle her really well.
Mm-hmm.
They watch her, they listen to her, they dance with her, they giggle at her, I think they handle her well.
Yeah, they definitely do. They handle a lot really well, because I think, actually, yeah, I think it's after the great grandma shows up that their dad dies.
Yes.
They find out that their dad dies in Vietnam, and they take that very well too.
Oh man, because they're watching Mima and Popo, or Walt and Ruby, just kind of really try to hold it together, but they just fall apart. And honestly, this was where the drama, the whole drama's around the whole thing, but this is where they really kind of camped in on a movie where they didn't have to. They could have, in these movies sometimes we really rush past grief. And in this movie, they really settled into that, and they showed people crying. They showed Papa was really upset, asking questions, even like a prayerful questions of like, why did you take him? The girls need their father. And he was mad, he was sad, he was grieving in his workshop, and I cried. I was like,
I cry too. And I don't cry that often. It was that moment in the barn, I think it was very emotional and very well done.
It was so emotional.
Yeah, just that kind of grief-stricken anger of him processing what happened. And it got me too.
It got me. That's what I mean about this being one of these UPTV Hall of Fame movies where it pulled you in. The story was awesome. It was a lot, but it did pull you in emotionally, and I was like, whoa, they're really showing this. And I thought Corbin Benson did a great job. He cried at one point in his truck. He was just frustrated when he got that picture of his son in Vietnam, and he cried or tried to hold it together, and just really reminded me of my grandpas, I think, growing up, just kind of hardworking men, stoic. They're sensitive, and they were going to cry but not bawl their eyes out, what I mean, be a little angry in their grief. So they really went there.
For sure. And then probably not long after, the great grandma dies, which is a little less of a dramatic event because they knew she was there.
Right.
She dies in her sleep during the thunderstorm.
Right. During a thunderstorm, the power goes out. They go to check on grandma. She actually died in her sleep in her bed, so they have to leave her at the house.
Yeah, because there's no power to call.
No power. Drive to find the sheriff in the storm. The girls spill the beans that they suspect Selma and Grandpa of having this relationship. Mima gets so upset about that. Like, what are you talking about? That is so not happening. That is so not true. And in the midst of her little speech about this, she's getting the sheriff. There's a thunderstorm. She's giving the girls a speech. She falls. and knocks herself unconscious.
Yeah. And it's someone to the rescue with her real boyfriend. I forget his name, but it's not.
I know
Coco.
Daniel. I don't know. She
Maybe
finds him.
Nathan. I don't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, so many things were happening at once, Jess. I thought, is this a book? Is this like all these little details and things? Like, is this written based on a book? And I still want to look that up.
I think it was based on a book.
Okay. That makes sense to me.
I think it said that in the opening credits.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
Good. Well, I'll go back and watch the opening credits to find the book because it seemed like that's what they were doing. There were so many things, so many places a book can go that a movie doesn't have time to go, but they definitely introduced a lot of these these plot points and events and stuff that I thought this must be based on a book.
Yeah. Yep. So yes. So the grandma ends up being fine. Ruby is all good. She just bumped her head. And then we pretty much are reaching the end. And so during this whole movie, we've been flashing back and forth. And during the present day flashbacks, we know that the sisters haven't spoken for a while. Juliet manages the radio. She's using the radio partly and also phone calls to try to get Evangeline to come home.
Yes.
Because it's important. We learn out because Walt is dying.
Oh, yeah.
And she almost like tries to air the dirty laundry on the radio. And Evangeline is like, oh no. No. And that's when she bursts in and she finds out about Walt. They kind of have it out about like, how could you keep all this stuff from me about my like the mom leaving them and not sending packages. But then they make up pretty quickly.
Yeah, they do. I think that they over with Grandpa in his bed, he's so happy to see Evangeline, and really Juliet is too. She's very happy to see her, have her home, kind of be together again. In 1997, then it's Mima has died, so she's not a part of it. Grandpa's in the house in hospice care. Dixie, the old funny friend, is the hospice nurse, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
But looks like she's doing well. She landed on her feet. She's a better person now. But
yeah, she's not toilet papering anymore.
No, she was just childish before. So yeah, so they really connect with Grandpa. It just takes one conversation, with him. He brings out another package, which was kind of his thing. We find out that he's the one who sent special gifts and packages to people that or his family that they thought were from other people. So he sends his package, they read it, they definitely do forgive each other for not telling the family secrets. And because Evangeline was saying, if I would have known, I could have gotten over it, and now I'm not over it, and it's shaped my whole life, that our mother left us and was never going to come home. If I would have known that, I could have faced it and gotten over it, which on one hand is true, but on the other hand, she admitted that, Juliet, you were just easy to blame. You were the one here. You were easy to blame. And so that was good. That was good.
And Juliet even says, Juliet's like, I knew it. I'm still not over. So
right.
Wouldn't have mattered.
No, it wouldn't have mattered.
And she was just a kid.
Just a kid. She
was just listening to her popo. He told her not to tell anybody. And,
I know. I think adults are well-intentioned in that, because their desire is to bear the heavy burdens for children. But when children find out these heavy burdens, I think it's a heavier burden for them to say, don't tell anybody about this. Like they have no capacity. They don't really know why, and what the reasons are. They just know it's a secret and it's burdensome to them. And that's really hard. That's really hard to figure out the wisdom of those heavy, heavy things.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, they did.
But it all ends well.
It ends well.
Everyone makes up and it's all good.
Yes. But let's talk about this tiny little hint and tease of a romance.
Oh yes. What was his name? Will?
William Bartlett or something. So he, in the flashbacks in 67, we see him as like the protector. He protects the girls on the playground, I guess, right? From
From the
bullies.
bullies.
Has a really nice way about him. And then at great grandma's funeral, he sits by Juliet and tells her she's a special girl, which was cute.
I know. I was like, oh, okay.
He's really
progressed quite quickly. Then he gets her his handkerchief.
Yes, handkerchief, and then you're a special girl. And then just towards the end of the movie, like 8 minutes left, Juliet announces on the radio station, Fireside's famous bachelor, William Bartlett, is home from his travels. Make sure you all give him a warm welcome and
bake him a pie.
Yeah, bring him a pie. So that was kind of cute. He comes into the station with the pie and says, I've got way too many of these. And so then she announces a bake sale at the station. Come and see William again. So that was kind of sweet, kind of cute. I kind of wanted there to be a little bit more.
Yeah.
By that time, 30
years without later, giving us anything.
I know. 30 years later, they're a little older, like they're at least in their 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because Juliet was the older one, so.
Yeah.
Older sister.
Man.
But anyway, how did you rate this one?
There were some reasons why I rated it what I did. I rated it, when I look at my rating, it's a little on the high side. It's 6.5 out of 10. And I was like, okay, why? But I think I have these things that I loved. I loved the retro styles. I loved the 1967 type of movie with the music and the styles, and they're writing letters back and forth to their dad at war. And I mean, just kind of the historic piece to that I really enjoyed watching. That was fun. So the retro styles, the sweet grandparents, it really was a story about the grandparents. It really, their strength, they have to raise their grandchildren. They have to hold it together, provide for them now, which that never was the plan. And they just do such a good job. I liked how they handled grief. I liked that they really went there. If they're making that a big part of the story, they gave it the attention it needed. I think the grief, it had some really sweet religious elements to it. A prayer before the meal, talking about heaven, which is something that we want to talk about as we grieve. And so there were reasons why I gave it a 6.5. I'm not, there were things wrong with it. There was a lot going on. A lot. Yeah.
There was a lot going on.
There was a lot. There was no romance, which I always love, and I want the romance. So that was a little disappointing to me. But it was a good one. So 6.5 is my rating. What about you?
Yeah, I was pretty close to you. I gave it 6.75.
Oh, great.
So just a smidge higher. But yeah, I thought it was a really heartwarming story, like we've talked about, and it dealt with a lot of things. And again, I really like the authenticity of that sister relationship and how they were there for each other, but also they had their little spats.
Yes.
What I think this movie was missing, that I think would have really helped it along, was we had all these flashbacks, right? And back into the present day. I think it would have helped it if we saw the fallout of Evangeline finding out, because otherwise we don't really understand fully. I don't think we don't really feel it as much, her disconnect with her sister now. We know there's a disconnect, but we don't really quite get, I mean, we learn sort of almost for the end of the movie, like, okay, Juliet has this information that Evangeline doesn't, but we don't really understand how it affects her. And so I think if we saw that, it would have made her coming home more significant.
Yeah. That's a good point. That would have made it really strong. I think stronger than 6 6.5, 6.75.
Yeah. So, but yeah, but it was a good movie. Maybe a little slow at times, but I mean, it's a drama, and
Yeah.
they had a lot to cover.
It did.
So
It did. It had a lot to cover. There were times that I was watching it and the slowness of it, I thought really kind of reflected the time, though, you know, the
mhm.
time period of 1967. We have these long, slow, hot summer days. And so yeah, that didn't bother me too much as it would in a, you know, what's supposed to be a peppy rom-com, maybe, but like you said, because it's a drama. So
Yeah. All right. On to our actual peppy
our
rom-coms.
peppy rom-coms, we got 3 here.
Whew, okay. First one up is A Love to Remember.
Mhm.
After a year of interacting exclusively online, Tenley, an eco-conscious horticulturist, finally works up the courage to meet her online crush, Jared. When Jared doesn't show because of a bike accident, Tenley gets mistaken for his wife at the hospital. Soon, she's forced to keep up the lie with Jared's entire family and his annoyingly charming best friend. And this stars Rhiannon Fish and Edward Ruddle. Now, Kari, what movie does this sound like just hearing that summary? Because I had a thought as soon as I saw it before I even watched it.
Oh my goodness. This is a total knockoff of While You Were Sleeping.
Yes, it is.
And I have to tell you, I am going to be way too positive about this movie because I love While You Were Sleeping. And it was so much fun for me to see this story, but with new characters and a couple of different twists and stuff. But I was all for it. As soon as I realized, oh my gosh, this is exactly the movie While You Were Sleeping, I just settled in because I knew I was gonna love it.
I was probably not as optimistic as Kari. But we'll get there. We'll get there. You know what's funny though? I only saw While You Were Sleeping for the first time like 2 months ago.
Oh, really? So
yeah,
it's
I
not
had
like,
never seen it.
okay, so for me, it has a very nostalgic, like that was a movie I watched over and over again when I was a teenager.
So
And
maybe that has something to do with it.
I think it does. I think it does because it's a good movie. If you see it 2 months ago, sure, it's a good movie. But when you if you grew up with it, I think
Yeah.
it was a great movie. So what made you watch it 2 months ago, by the way?
I don't know. I think Cami and I were talking about it. Or Cami is like, we have a running list of all the movies I should have seen that I have not seen. I had a very deprived childhood, apparently. I only saw The Princess Bride for the first time in 2020.
Okay, good.
So we was running lists, and that was one of them. So I finally
Yeah.
watched that one. I've never seen You Got Mail. That's on my list too. I know, I'm just
Okay.
shocking everybody right now.
We should have like a watch party for some of these things because I would love to rewatch You've Got Mail. That would be fun.
Yeah. So
Okay, Jess, it's hard to once you hear the fanatic, you know, like people who love these movies, you have to watch it. It is hard to meet that expectation of a good movie. So I get it. I get why. I mean, did you like While You Were Sleeping?
I did. Yeah, I liked it. I don't know if I was like, this is the greatest movie ever, but yeah, I liked it fine.
Okay, good. So because you just saw that, and then now this was almost scene for scene.
Yeah, and I think for this movie, the struggle I had was in the believability of it. Whereas
Okay.
I thought that While You Were Sleeping was more successful in that. So because in While You Were Sleeping, it was they thought she was his fiance, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And this one, she's mistaken as the wife, and I just if they had, I know they didn't want to like completely rip off While You Were Sleeping, but I mean, if they had made her be mistaken for a fiance or even just a girlfriend,
Right.
that would have worked so much better for me because I'm like, okay, like we're really stretching it, and the fact that in all this time you really can't tell anybody,
Right.
and also like how like on earth would they have let her sign these forms? Like
I
they
know.
didn't tell her anything about the forms, so just like sign these forms that were life saving.
But that's why she had to be the wife, because she could sign
Yeah,
these forms. If she was fiance or girlfriend, she couldn't have even signed the forms.
right. So
So
I kind of see where they were going, but I couldn't get over that hump of like, I can't believe this at all.
right. I could. I mean, the cool thing about a movie like this is that you do have the straight man, the cynical, kind of, in this movie it was the best
Mhm.
friend Everett, who's like, no, he would have told me. No, this makes no sense. And he's
Yeah,
like on to her, and he's like, I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna get to the bottom of this because it doesn't make sense. So that's helpful in a movie like this. It's not like everyone is this wide-eyed, trusting family members who are like so accepting
yeah.
of this new wife.
Of the secret wife
Right. You have.
their son clearly had this whole time.
So we have this little teenage sister who overhears her on the phone with a friend saying, "This is all a sham. I don't know what to, I'm getting deeper and deeper into this. I can't tell the family." So she hears the truth. And then the little teenager tells her, "Keep going. The family business is at stake. You've got to keep going with this charade." And the girl listens to the teenager.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and that's another thing too, was like she needed to keep up the facade because she needed to help Everett, right?
yep, Everett.
With the big company presentation because she knew like the horticultural side of it. And it's like, but she could still do that even if she wasn't keeping up this this lie that she's the wife.
Jess, no, Jess, it was so important that she kept up the lie. I mean, that was what this whole thing was based on. Like,
I
they
know.
trusted her with his part of the presentation because she was his wife. So, I mean, it makes sense.
It does. Yes. I did love though when Everett's like first meeting her and he's like giving her 20 questions about Jared
Yes,
and she
she
knows
knows.
everything because they've been talking for like a year.
And Jared and uh Tenley is the girl's name. Tenley they were building a great friendship, but to her it was a little more. She was like, it's time to meet. I need to tell him I like him. But we find out that really to Jared it was totally platonic. He
Just
was,
like someone who shares my interest.
yeah, his interests, and they got along. They shared articles together, and so on his side it was totally platonic. Now, I thought this doctor was hilarious. Did you? He was like making jokes, and he was just a really funny character to me whenever
Giving
he
people forms to sign without telling them what they are.
I thought he was awesome. Okay, so this is the type of movie that I like to see the two main characters like fall for each other like on accident. Like they're not supposed to, but
Mhm.
they actually end up really falling for each other, and nobody's mad about it at the end. That she basically, he basically was falling for his best friend's wife. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. But still so funny. So I thought it was hilarious that okay, do you remember her with her friend, and every once in a while they'd be like 1-800 ouch,
Yeah.
1-800 heart. What was that?
I don't know, but the character of Tenley was just something else. She was very extra. That's the only word I can describe her.
So extra.
She's very extra. Like she's like dancing
Uh-huh.
all the time, and
She was.
I still don't really understand how she has like a career that supports her lifestyle.
That's the thing though. That is never something we need to question
That's
in
right.
movies.
Being a horticulturist pays for really nice clothes.
Yeah. Yeah. She probably supports herself by writing articles on the side or something. I don't know. I don't know what she does.
I don't
But
know either.
so funny. So yes, I did like it. I liked when they had I just liked when they had her and Everett working together, and you know, he was kind of harsh a little bit with her, but that worked for me because, you know, he was mad. He was mad that his friend didn't tell him about a wife.
Yeah, I mean, if you found out your friend is married and you didn't even know they were dating. Speaking of which, the one of the big not conflict scene, but big twist was when that what's her name? What's that one girl's name?
The sister.
No, the other woman.
Oh, I didn't write that down, but yeah, there was another woman here.
We'd like to take a second from this episode of the podcast to celebrate our sponsor of this episode, and that is the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast?
Do you want an inside scoop into what happens on the podcast?
Do you want early access to episodes and loads of cool perks?
Now is the time to become a patron of Hallmarkies podcast.
By becoming a patron, you get to access our patron Facebook group.
You can request episodes or even be a guest on the podcast.
And most importantly, any patron can join our monthly movie watch-alongs with stars like Paul Campbell, Natalie Hall, and more.
It's as low as $2 a month to join in and become a special part of the Hallmarkies family.
Please consider, and we will love you forever.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Wait, Loretta.
Oh, Loretta. I would
Loretta. She's like, we know something's up with her, and I actually didn't suspect this. I just thought she had feelings for Jared and was like uncomfortable, like, oh, he had a wife.
Right.
But we learned Loretta shows up at Tenley's apartment and is like, I'm the mistress. I didn't know he was married. We've been dating. Now that like
Horrible thought.
I liked that like scene because it totally caught me off guard. And I was like not expecting it. And I thought it was pretty funny.
Yes, definitely.
She's the mistress. And I was like, no, we're not married.
And she has to come clean. Yeah, that was I liked it. I thought that there were some kind of funny hijinks there. You know, the mom is the one to say, oh, you're not wearing a ring. Here's my grandmother's ring. And the mom gives her an engagement ring and she puts it on, but she can't get it off. And then like Everett helps her out. I mean, it's just a lot of things that just kind of get out of control fast for this Tenley.
Yeah, just the lies get deeper and deeper. But Loretta's kind of the catalyst for her coming clean because Everett overhears the first part where she's saying I'm mistress, and then he goes to Jared and is like, what is wrong with you, man? How could you be dating someone while you are married?
Yes.
What is going on?
Yes.
And Jared's like, what? Just woke up from a coma, but what?
Yes, exactly. Oh my goodness, I can't read them in my notes here, but this is very funny. How about that one character, that quiet grandma character in the garden, and then all of a sudden
Oh, Mrs. Dearly.
yes, all of a sudden she like has this conversation, she drops this wisdom on Tenley, and it's like love is like gardening, and she's just so surprised. Tenley's so surprised that she can even talk and that she knows deserves all this stuff about her. I think that's funny.
Yeah. Oh goodness. But yeah, and then we have, let's see what else happened in this movie. We had some shenanigans with the with Betsy, the older sister, with her motorcycle boyfriend.
Yeah. and she comes on the scene right when Tenley was gonna come clean to Everett and be like, you know, because she's feeling feelings for him. He knows that he has feelings for her, and she's gonna like say, you know, I have to tell you something. And she kept trying. I have to tell you.
I will give her credit. She kept trying.
And then they see Betsy and this boyfriend like get on a motorcycle and they run after them. So bless her heart, she just could not get the truth out there.
She could not, but she finally does. Finally does in the hospital. Everett's pretty upset, and I thought they actually had a really good emotional scene there, like outside, or what I think it was like outside. And he's just like, whoa.
Right.
How could you do this kind of thing?
No, I thought that was kind of an honest, like, he was like, stay away from me and my family, like,
Mhm.
I can't do this. I don't trust you. And
Mhm.
so Tenley does pull through though still with the presentation. Even okay, so now Jared is out of a coma. He's healthy. He gets out of a coma. He is telling Everett, "Hey, she's a great girl." Like they were friends for a while, and um, so anyway, she sends, I guess, these baskets to the presentation. Like she's still kind of emotionally invested, and
Yeah.
definitely, wants to make amends and stuff. And so something about the baskets makes Everett be like, uh, she's got
Yeah.
me. Like she's got me. So yeah, definitely there was a lot that she did wrong. I thought that there was a lot that she did wrong. But lives are complicated.
Yeah.
But our hearts are complicated, and she did some things right here. So I don't know. He shows up at the end at the garden
Hmm.
and does confess his love. What I like is that they did apologize to each other. That they, and he said, I want you. This is my thing. So I don't know. It worked for me.
What did you rate it then?
Well, I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Oh, pretty high.
It's pretty high. It's pretty high. It was definitely one that I would look for again on TV. I would tell people like my friends or family who watch Up TV, I would say, "Hey, look for this one." Definitely, I would recommend it. I thought it was really fun, kind of throwback to one of my favorite movies, and I liked Everett. Have we seen him before? This
I want to say yes, but I don't remember from
Me
where.
too. Okay, so I'm gonna look him up again because he was so recognizable to me, but I really liked him. I thought that he was a kind of a handsome guy and a good character. I gave it an 8 out of 10 for nostalgia. What about you?
I wasn't quite as generous as we know. I gave it a 5.5.
Okay.
So not terrible. I did appreciate the lightheartedness and like, you kind of have to embrace it as more of a comedy
Yep.
than you're like not your traditional
Mhm.
rom-com-ish thing, but or at least the kind that we see from this network.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I just couldn't get over the whole wife thing. And I didn't really think the business thing was interesting enough to kind of keep it going as well. Like the let's save the business, but we don't even
Right.
really know much about it. Like we're given just enough to believe that this is important, but
Yeah.
not enough to make it a real driving force.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, so I gave it a 5.5 out of 10.
5.5 out of 10. I mean, that's fair. I think that's a fair score for this movie. I think that if you liked, those of you who are listening, if you liked and while you were sleeping, this might be a really fun one, 20, 30 years later to watch and be like, oh, that's so similar to that story, and see the little hijinks that happen and stuff. So if you like that old movie, you probably would like this one, is what I'm thinking.
All right. Let's keep on going with our next one. Starting up love. Workaholic Jillian inherits a beautiful mountainside cabin after her long-lost wealthy uncle dies. She plans to sell it, but handsome caretaker Liam makes her an offer she can't refuse. And sparks fly as they work to transform the cabin into a holiday resort. I don't remember it being a holiday resort, but whatever. But when business doesn't go as planned, will Jillian give up everything for the love she never saw coming? Starring Anna Hutchinson and Rocky Myers.
Rocky Myers. Um, Rocky Myers was fun. He was kind of cute. Kind of like he was
This is
a
the first one I watched, so my memory might be a little spottier on this one.
okay.
But we'll go with it.
Okay. Yeah, there was at first I was like, okay, what is this setup? How does she get there to this cabin? And you have kind of that age-old story of she's up for partner, but she doesn't get it, but she would get it if she proves that she can do this one job.
Yeah, because she's a venture capitalist and needs startup experience.
She needs startup experience. So they're like, take something, get it going, make it successful, and then we'll consider you for partner because you don't have that experience. And she's like, she doesn't understand it. But then she has to take time out to go and figure out this inheritance that she got. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, she got an inheritance. She's going to go see it. She's going to go sell it real quick, then come home and just figure out her startup, this thing that she has to do. Well, in the meantime, she realizes this is the startup. This is the experience that she needs. She's going to
into a B&B.
Turn it into a B&B. She's going to get behind this partnership with Liam because Liam is part owner of this B&B with the inheritance.
40%.
Oh, yes. He loves this place. So anyway, I do think at first I was like, whew, this is a tired storyline. What are we going to do here? And the thing that kind of kept me a little bit interested was I think the two of them had okay chemistry. Actually, did you?
I don't even remember. I found this one really boring. I couldn't get into this one. I don't know, nothing never really grabbed me with it, with the storyline, with the characters. So
yeah.
it wasn't for me.
She's big city girl, comes to the small town, so there is a band of characters that you're introduced to, and it's like this busybody cafe owner who everybody trusts, but she spills everybody's secrets. And then you have this quiet loner type who no one can befriend except Jillian. Yes. I guess
you call him Uncle Walrus.
The Uncle Walrus. Yeah. So they do try to like put in place this band of characters, and she's kind of finding if she has a place here in this town. And yes, there were definitely boring aspects of it. Even fixing up the B&B, what takes precedence, what is most important to her is actually like going on a hike, like learning how to be an outdoors woman or something. She's like, if I'm going to sell this, if I'm going to know this business and
she needs to know
this has to offer, I got to go on a hike. And he's like, let's do it. And I'm like, you have tons to do at the B&B, like tons.
Right.
Like,
somehow they managed to turn this whole thing around.
Like
the two of them.
Or 2.5 weeks. There's always like, I don't know. Okay. I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say about this one. It's a tried and true storyline. So something like this I can get into if I can get behind the characters, if I can like their chemistry and stuff like that. And to me, they had a sweetness about them. But nothing like wow, I guess.
Yeah, I would agree. Even like the conflict was that, so like the board of her company or whatever, they want to like take ownership of it instead of it staying within her family, because like the cafe owner and stuff, and like that's her part of her family. And then Liam feels like she's betrayed him by doing this all behind her back and whatever. And then I think when she goes to Seattle, right, and says no, it's staying in the family, and then she comes back at some point and she apologizes to him, and I'm like, why are you apologizing? You didn't do anything wrong. Like, you didn't know that like your company was doing this, for starters, and then when you did, you fixed it.
Right.
Why are you apologizing to him? Stop it.
I don't know. A little misunderstanding there. Something easily talked through, but nothing she needed to apologize for.
Right.
No, you're right.
So, but it all ends well because then Uncle Walrus becomes the new investor, and they have the ribbon cutting ceremony, and there's randomly a miniature horse at the ribbon cutting ceremony. I don't know if you noticed that. There was like a random miniature horse sitting there. I'm like, where
No, I mean,
are
there
they?
was nobody there. There were like 5 people there and a miniature horse, and it was like this grand opening. That bothers me. You know, that bothers me when they have like this great big festival. They've been planning the whole movie and like nobody's there. I really, I don't love that. But I understand with these movies they can't do these big things. But
Yeah.
okay, the one thing I wanted to say is there's this argument. They have this argument, and I call it the "I know you best" argument, where they like throw these things out at each other, and they like say, well, you were doing this and you did that, and you don't. Well, I don't know. The way that they argue is like they're telling each other, like, I know you well, I know you
Mhm.
best, and it gives a lot to think about. But those type of arguments bother me a little bit because they're so like you. But
Yeah.
anyway, they wrap it up, and they actually again apologize to each other. And
Mhm.
I thought the ending seemed somewhat genuine, which was nice. So
Um, do you have anything else more to add to this before ratings? Okay. I'll do my rating first. I'm making you do them all first, but I'll go first. I gave this one a 4 out of 10.
okay.
Um, yeah, I'm glad to hear that you weren't quite into it either, because I'm like, I don't know if I was just in a mood when I watched
Right.
it, because I was, sometimes that happens, you're in a mood and like you don't enjoy something that later you rewatch and it's fine, but like I just, nothing drew me into
Yeah.
this story. I couldn't get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's really all I can say. Like there wasn't anything like crazy wrong with it where I'm like, this is just horrible. It
Mhm.
wasn't like that. It just,
Yeah.
there was no spark.
There wasn't. I mean, so 4 out of 10. That's what I gave it as well.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, 4 out of
Hot take
10.
sneak.
Because I think the same with you. It was perfectly fine, but there was just nothing. Even if the writing is bad, the scenery can be nice.
Mhm.
Even if the chemistry isn't exactly there, the side characters can be fun, and they
Right.
just didn't meet the mark on a lot of these things. And yet, like you said, it's fine. Maybe another time if I caught the movie, I would be like, oh yeah, I remember this one. Oh, that was kind of a cute scene and stuff. So I gave it a 4 out of 10 because there were sweet moments to me. I thought they kind of were a cute couple, but it was a slow and boring movie.
Yes.
Mhm. It's funny to give it a 4 out of 10 for something that we didn't like, but we didn't hate. I think
Yeah.
we reserve the really bottom
Yeah. We
bottom
reserve our 2
numbers for
stars
those we really hate.
for hate movies
Yes.
or extremely dislike.
Yeah.
Oh, all
All
right.
right, that was
Well,
starting up love. Starting up love. Let us know what you think of that too.
yeah. Maybe someone else out there was like really felt it and we just didn't.
Right.
But let's move on to our last one. Designed with love. Clothes designer Sky goes mobile with a fashion truck, but she can't drive the truck and run the business alone. Help comes in the unlikely form of the handsome entrepreneur. It says Kevin. I think this must be an old summary because wasn't his name Jason?
Mm-hmm. Jason.
Okay, I'm going to change that to Jason. As they work together, Sky and Jason find they have more in common than they thought. Could it be love? Starring Kelly Vanderberg and Benjamin Sutherland.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
we have a little bit of a fashion movie here.
Mm-hmm.
Because so she works for this company and she ends up getting fired because she disagrees with her boss about something. But her boyfriend at the time, Patrick, is like, let me see if I can help you with this other like company or something. And they're interested in her clothes because she's a designer. She likes to design. But she needs to show that there's like consumer interest, and so she needs to like sell 10K worth of clothing. And she's
Mm-hmm.
like, how am I gonna do that? So
Yeah.
that's the premise of this movie. She's got 10 grand worth of clothing she has to sell, and she's got to do it pretty quick.
No, totally quick. Big sigh from me over here. I hated this movie.
No way.
Yes.
This is my favorite of the four. Kari, what is happening to us? We used to be
No,
so in sync. Oh goodness.
we're so in sync on some, but when we disagree,
We disagree.
big time. I
Goodness. Okay, here. I gotta buckle in here.
buckle in because I thought they had zero chemistry. I thought her clothes that she makes were awful. Horrible clothes. I thought the whole premise of setting up, she's selling these clothes, setting them up on the street. When is she making these clothes? She has no time to fulfill all these orders that she's making. She's a one woman show.
I was so printer, Kari.
I was so stressed out for her. I was like, you can't take another order until you get back there and make the 10 you just sold. I was so stressed out. I didn't like the way she talked to him. She always threw in his face in a very mean way. I thought, like, you have no fashion sense, or you don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, whoa, chill, judgy.
Well, she sort of had a point when he was trying to sell the clothes for her.
Yes.
That bothered me. I was like, dude, like, just stop.
She's the expert here. You're right. Like, here's the funny thing. I did like her, actually. I thought she was a little mean. I thought her product wasn't great, but I liked her. I thought she was nice to his sister. You know, she tried to give her a makeover, I guess. But that's the story I wanted to watch. I wanted to watch the sister Mo, the garage auto shop owner. I wanted to watch her try to get a date with this guy Angel. And like that's
the elusive Angel. We never see him.
We never see him. We never, like, then she strikes out. He says no, actually, even to this date. So I wanted to watch that story. I didn't want to watch this one. It was just so bad to me. But you have to tell me why you liked it and why.
I thought it was kind of cute. Which is kind of funny because, you know, I don't really care for fashion. So like a fashion movie right out the bat isn't going to really sell me. I did kind of enjoy the conflict of like him being that protective older brother.
Well, yeah, good choice of words because they had no chemistry. Like the protective older brother to his sister and to this girl. Well, tell me about, what do you mean the conflict as far as her
when he's upset,
her making a dress for somebody else and like losing her vision or something?
No, the conflict where he gets upset at her because Mo doesn't get the date and he's like, you're the one who pushed this.
Oh, I see. Yes, you're right.
I like that conflict. I loved Mo. She was like one of my favorite parts of the movie.
She was great. She was so great.
And I thought they had like a good message because she was like, I can't take credit for this. This really wasn't my design. I thought that was a really nice message of like, even though she did all the work on the dress, like all the ideas were like the assistant guys. And so she's like, I can't take credit for that.
Yeah, and her losing her vision kind of what her clothing line wanted to be, or she wanted it to be, and she was doing something just for the big name Instagram star to watch. Well, Sharesies. That was another thing that bothered me, was what they named everything. Sharesies was like the Instagram where you share. You share your stuff on Sharesies, and there was this Sharesies Instagram model, famous girl or whatever, who wanted to wear one of her pieces, and that's what she started to like kind of sell out, you know. And but then
I'm trying to remember what her name was.
Her name was oh shoot, it was something funny. Well, so Sharesies, I didn't like that, and that
Mary B. Sorry, Mary B.
Mary B. That's right, Mary B. She was kind of a fun character, kind of wacky.
Yes.
So
very,
I didn't
very unique.
Yeah. Sharesies was just annoyed me. And then Maybelle on Wheels. Maybelle, I felt like is like a cow's name. Like, why? Maybelle, like It feels like not a good hip name for your clothing line that you're trying to sell. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to shut up. You're supposed to tell me why you liked it.
I don't know. I kind of like the name. Although it does sound like a cow's name now that you say that. But I don't know, I thought it was kind of like a cute idea to have this little outdoor boutique. Although I don't think I would ever like frequent one and like change inside of a food truck.
No.
But it was kind of a fun idea. I thought the idea of having a 3D printer printing the clothing was a little out there. I mean, I guess it could work, but
Yeah. Yeah. But it like brought in his ideas, you know.
yeah, it was a way to bring him in.
Oh, that was the other thing I thought was so mean of her and the sister. They kept bringing up his like failed relationships, you know, his failed businesses and his failed relationships. Like he's such a commitment phobe when he's going, that's what you do in this business. You buy a business, you sell it when it's profitable, and then you buy
Yeah.
another one. Like that's business.
Yeah,
And
because
then,
it's kind of like the last movie, like the venture capitalist thing. Like that's kind of what they do. Like they
yeah,
get the business going and then they turn it. It's like flipping houses.
right. It's like flipping houses. I just thought that was really unfair and uncalled for, like that they would like so throw that in his face all the time. But he was really patient brother, patient boy. I mean, he was really, really steady, I guess. So, so yeah. Okay, but it was a good message. Like you said, I agree with you on that. It was a good message.
Yeah, Carrie, you gotta think of the overall theme here.
Yes.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You're allowed to dislike it. I will say one thing that did bother me was I didn't think Mo needed a makeover. I was like, she's fine. Like, let her go.
I know. Exactly. Her and him, actually, I'm like, so he wears khakis and a button up. Like, that's what every businessman wears. Like, why is that a big deal? And then he puts on this blue tie and it's like, whoa, now you're hot. You know, it's like, what?
Because he's wearing colors, Carrie.
Yes, because he's wearing colors. But you're right. It would have been so cool if they would have taken Mo's character and been like, you don't need a makeover. Like just go for it. You know,
Yeah.
ask him
I kind
out.
of liked her
Or
fashion sense before the makeover. Like it fit her personality. And I'm like, just because someone and even with him too, like just because you don't like wearing colors doesn't mean you're boring. I
no.
don't like colors. I just think I look better in black.
Yeah, I like black.
Right now.
Yeah. I like black too. And I think because I didn't like the clothes that she designed, you know, I was annoyed at all the fashion advice she was giving them because I thought they were fine, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I did kind of like her point though about when she made Mo like not look because like it's about how it feels because like that is true. Like people do tend to buy clothes that they think they look good on them, but they like feel horrible and then you never wear
Yes.
it.
Yes,
Like, oh, that skirt
exactly.
is really actually uncomfortable. It's too tight,
Right.
but it's cute.
Right. Yes, I can see that. I can see that. So, okay, you do such a good job at seeing like the overall picture and like the conflict and the resolution and stuff and basing your ratings on that. I think that is great. And I need to learn from you that way because I can just get too picky on some of these details. And were they supposed to be in New York? They're supposed to be like big city.
Said, but I would. New York seems pretty plausible from what I remember.
Yeah, I felt like they said something about Brooklyn maybe or they were showing New York scenes. But
Mm.
then it just cracked me up when it was so clearly Canadian in their
Canadian New York.
yes, and they're like, "Ooh, tell me about that." And they didn't say that about or whatever, which is wonderful, which is fine. But I was like, "No, you're Canadian. Like, be in Toronto. Like, that's fine. That's a good
Right.
city to be in."
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
I'm almost scared to hear your rating.
no,
It's like 0.001.
no. I just, I just couldn't get into it. And I feel like every scene I was like, no, not that. No, don't do that. No. So it just wasn't an enjoyable movie for me. It may hit someone else in a way that's just a lot more fun, and you can be more gracious about it than I was, but this mood put me at a 1.5.
Oh my gosh. That was like the lowest you've ever given, Kari. Wow. I've never even given a 1.5. The lowest I've given is a 2.
1.5. It was
Oh, no.
so bad to me. So
Well, on the other side, I gave it a 7. This is literally the time when I gave something a 2 and Amy gave it a 9.
okay, and there was one last month where I gave it a low rating and you gave it a higher rating. And
Yeah,
then one of our birthday romance. And then one of our friends watched it and she was like, Kari, no, I totally agree with Jess.
Yeah. So
You
I
know
gotta
what?
kick you off the team. No, I'm kidding.
I am sticking with it. I am sticking with maybe I'll bump it up to a 2. No, because I gave it a 1.5 because I liked it less than the birthday romance. So it
Yeah,
had to be
you're entitled to have your opinion.
it had to be less.
Movies hit different people different ways. We've
Yep.
seen that. We see it all the time on the Hallmarkies podcast. So, but yeah, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I
Would you watch it again?
More than you. I thought it was like the cutest of like the 4 movies. In terms of like a romance to me. But I did agree, like something, like for me, something was still missing. It wasn't quite there. I obviously wasn't as harsh on their characters. But yeah.
Well, I need to know if someone else watches this out there, and if you thought the characters were mean to each other, if you thought her designs and the whole basis of the movie, if they were like, just the whole thing to me was tired. It was tired dialogue, tired designs, tired like storyline. I need to know if someone agrees with me or not, I guess. But
we're gonna have to have everyone else on the Hallmarkies pod watch it and tell us. Have a vote.
Yeah, we need to vote.
We gotta settle this. Or we can just have all our listeners let us know in the comments. Are you Team Kari or Team Jess for this last movie?
Yes.
We're gonna start this whole team thing. When calls the heart.
Let's do it. Designed with love. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, we need to know now because yeah. We've never disagreed quite this much. No. Except for My Birthday Romance.
I know. Usually we're right on. Like we just get each other with these movies, but not with this one.
But
okay.
Yeah. It's good to have other opinions.
Yes.
But yeah, let us know what you guys thought, and let us know about the other movies too, not just this one. And be sure to be following us on social media at OUAUPSIDE is our handle, and then also be following the Hallmarkies podcast, Hallmarkies Pod or Hallmarkies Podcast on all the different social medias. And Kari, where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram at Hallmark Comics. That's Hallmark_comics.
Awesome. And you can find me at Jess BSW blog on Twitter and Instagram. And we've had a lot of fun talking about these 4 movies this month. And at least so far, I think we only have 2 scheduled for next month. Sometimes that changes, but as of right now, only 2 or not next month, this month, because it's now May already.
Right.
So we've got 2 so far that we know about. So we might have a short month of May movie-wise, but we will be back.
Yes, absolutely. We'll see you then.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.